What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 23 My Team career mode. Last time out we were in France for the French Grand Prix at Paul Ricard, and we ended up walking away with a P6 finish there. It wasn't my finest result, but it was enough for us to hold on to P2 in the Drivers' Championship and P3 in the Constructors' Championship. At the moment we sit 21 points down on Lando Norris in the Drivers' Championship, and we're going to need a string of good results going forward if we want to stay with him and not fall too far behind. With only 11 races left to go in this season, we of course re-signed Kevin Magnussen to our team in the previous episode, so he will be staying with us for the duration of the season. And yeah, like I said, Hungary, it's a circuit that, to be fair, I don't actually think I've finished that many races at. I think it's been on the calendar every year, or maybe it missed out one year so far, but either way, I definitely remember having at least one mechanical failure here, and generally I feel like my potential here has never fully been met. So I'm hoping that we can put that behind us and hopefully get at least a podium finish here today. I know that I definitely have decent pace around this circuit, especially in qualifying, and it is not an easy circuit to overtake at by any means at all. So I'm hoping that we should be able to get a pretty good result here today if we can get that good qualifying and then crucially get the good result in the race itself. It does say it's going to rain during the race, which might make things more difficult for me, but probably in reality will make things more difficult for people to overtake if I had to guess. So I'm hoping that we can use the rain to our advantage, build off a good qualifying. However, we will of course be qualifying on a wet setup in the dry in qualifying, because it does seem like it's going to be dry in qualifying, despite the fact that it's going to rain basically the entire duration of the race. Might dry up towards the end, it's suggested, but you know, we can't take that for granted, so we're going to have to try quite hard. P3 in practice, of course, pretty good pace. I didn't feel particularly consistent around here, but it's okay. Hopefully we can continue building forward. Another strong performance there, Jack Doohan. The fastest of the medium runners. He of course got the victory in France last time out, his first race in Formula 1, and he won it. I don't think that you could have a better introduction to Formula 1 than that, and hopefully it's the start of a long and prosperous career for the Australian driver there. Now it is time for us to get into qualifying for the Hungarian Grand Prix, and like I said, I'm going to be targeting probably top 3 here at least, if not even better than that, because I want to get the best result I can possible to make sure that there's basically no chance for anyone to beat me in the race. And with the limited overtaking opportunities that this circuit provides, coupled with the fact that it's going to be raining, which is going to mean there's no DRS, which means that this big long straight here is going to be even harder to overtake on. Yeah, I'm hoping that a good qualifying will set us up nicely for that. It's a 1:15.4 on a fresh set of soft compound tyres to kick things off here in Q1, and I would wait to say we might have to improve on that. It was good enough for P13 in the end, which is nice, but yeah, still, hopefully we can build on that over the course of the weekend. We do cross the line again on another fresh set of softs for a 1:15.1. That improves our time a bit, but only up to P11. So we're going to need to see a big improvement in Q2 if we're going to make it through to Q3. Kevin Magnussen, meanwhile, all the way up in P5. A good result from him. Let's see if he can keep up that level of performance over the course of the entire weekend. Albon going fastest there. Meanwhile, no real surprises in the drop zone there. Tsunoda, Lawson, Joe, Fittipaldi, De Vries and Stroll. I don't think if I'd have told you that these were eliminated before the video started, you would really deem it any great spoiler or any big surprise. Both Hasses making it through again, so a good job by those guys. Hulkenberg obviously made it into Q3 last time out. We'll see if he can do the same thing here today, but I feel like we might have a slightly more normal session this time. It's a 1:14.7 on a used set of soft compound tyres, so we've got a lot better than we did in the previous session already, and we still have a run to do on the fresh soft compound tyres as well. However, as you can see, we haven't really improved so far. We are looking to maybe improve through this final sector, but yeah, I wasn't quite getting the run that I was hoping for here, and in the end we only improved by a couple tenths of a second. It's not the drastic improvement I was hoping for. Nonetheless, we do make it through, and it seems like we're going to be P4, so pretty good in that regard. I think Magnussen ended up being P7 there. He was P6, but we did pip him at the end, so yeah, P7 for Magnussen, both of us through to Q3. Pretty good. the Mercedes, the top two there, Norris and Albon in that order. And then eliminated, we have Russell, Ocon, Hauger, Verstappen, Hulkenberg, and Sargent, the Aston Martins. What's going on with them? I feel like they've had a number of poor results in a row, and bizarrely, Hauger seems to be somewhat taking the fight to his teammate in the recent races as well. Verstappen had a strong start to the season. He won 2 races in the first 3, but yeah. Lately, I would say, honestly, from what I've seen, it seems like Hauger has been the slightly stronger of the drivers, and once again, out-qualifying Verstappen here. A solid result from the Norwegian, my former teammate, of course, still interested in his fortunes. On a used set of soft compound tyres, this time we do a 114.3, so we're continually improving. We're currently in P3, but we'll see if maybe on a fresh set of soft compound tyres we can get ourselves among the Mercedes. Sergio Perez has managed to do that, so he's into 2nd place now. We, meanwhile, are 3/10 up on our time, so I don't know if this is going to be good enough for pole position, but right now we definitely are going to be on the front row ahead of Sergio Perez. We just need to not screw this up through the final few corners. If we can get a good run out of the final hairpin, I think we should be looking pretty good here. We're 3.5 up, we crossed the line, we're into the 113s.
Fantastic, you've got pole position.
And it's good enough for pole position. That's what you love to see. It's what I love to see, and hopefully we can fight for the win tomorrow.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top 3, Robinson, Norris and Sergio Perez. Goodbye for now then, but we are really just getting started. Make sure you join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
Well, it wasn't a clear-cut pole position, only a 10th ahead of Lando Norris. Definitely there was potential for him to grab that one, I think, and I'm sure he's going to make life very difficult for me tomorrow. Meanwhile, Magnussen all the way down in 9th. Not a great qualifying from him after getting 5th and 7th in the previous sessions. I would have hoped that he could have been up there. But it just seems like when it comes to crunch time, when it comes to the Q3 and when it comes to the race itself, Magnussen just seems to fall away a little bit. You know, he's had some decent points finishes this season, but generally I was just hoping for a little bit more than Kevin Magnussen has delivered to the team this time. I think to a certain degree it can't be helped, unfortunately, because he has had quite a few sort of performance decreases in the patches over the course of the game's life cycle so far to reflect his real life performance, which is disappointing, but that is the way it is. But anyway, we shall now see if we can get a good result in what seems to be like it's going to be a wet Grand Prix at the Hungarian Grand Prix.
It's race day in Budapest as we get ready for another round of Formula One action. It's tight, it's technical. Some drivers love it, some drivers find it a challenge. Either way, there's been so much drama in the last couple of years at the Hungarian Grand Prix. The Hungaroring, it's like Monaco without the boats, although the boats today could come in very handy indeed. 14 corners, 6 to the left and 8 to the right, and some very tricky challenges to deal with out there. These rainy conditions aren't going to help things. It is very likely we'll see a safety car or two during today's race. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Robinson lines up on pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Perez, Doohan, Oscar Piastri, Sainz, Leclerc, Magnussen, Gasly, Russell, Hauger, Verstappen, Albon, Hulkenberg, Sargent, Tsunoda, Joe, Fittipaldi, De Vries, Stroll, Ocon, and Liam Lawson. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. A warm welcome to Natalie Pinkham, who is beside me in the commentary box today. Let's talk about Robinson. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
It's been a really solid year so far. There have been some incredible standout performances. But what's really impressed me has been the consistency. With this kind of form, I'm expecting another good race today.
Okay, we've got that relief of having points on the board finally, so let's keep that form up and get another top 10 finish today, please.
Top 2 in the championship and top 2 on the grid today, myself and Lando Norris, who will be walking home with their 4th victory of the season. Will it be me, will it be him, or will somebody else come to spoil the party between the two of us? We do have Perez behind us, of course, who has had 2 victories this season as well. Doohan starting P4.
Right,
can he get a second win this season in 2 races in his entire Formula One career? Or maybe Oscar Piastri will finally be able to get his first win in the season after, you know, I really feel like he should have had one by now, but amazingly, he actually hasn't. So yeah, it would be nice to see him maybe get a win. He did have one in the sprint, I believe, in Austria actually, but he's yet to win an actual Grand Prix. So yeah. The strategy we went for is a 2-stop, however, I don't know if we're going to stick with that. I think we're really going to play it by ear in terms of what the weather's doing and that kind of thing, and also whether it seems like it's a good idea to pit once or twice or however many times. Maybe we can even go to the end, I don't know. But in any case, we'll see what we can do as the lights come on and the lights go out, and we had such an unbelievably good getaway there. I legitimately, when I got that getaway, I thought I'd jump the start. I had one of those, you know, God shining down on me kind of starts there, because I genuinely think I released it, and I was just lucky that the lights had gone out at that point. So yeah, that was one of those starts that I don't think I'll ever get again. I say that, I did actually have one of them on my Twitch channel right around the time this game dropped, but yeah, those are the only 2 times I can think of where I've had a start that good. And what it's meant is, with Piastri and Perez battling behind, Norris falling all the way down to 5th, I am 2 seconds ahead of the nearest car already within the first couple of sectors of the race. We are absolutely blitzing our way through the field, and hopefully we can continue to extend this gap, extend this advantage over the course of the entire race. Just build out a really, really nice gap, and you know, hopefully bring it home without too many unnecessary complications. Like I said, the rain is due to stop maybe 2/3 of the way through the race, so we might have to watch out for that one, try and be careful in that scenario, but I'm hoping that it should be hopefully absolutely fine, and we can just carry ourselves to the end with no real issues. But I'm sure that Piastri will have something to say about that, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does close me down over the course of the race. So yeah, at the moment, as we finish the first lap here at the Hungaroring in the wet, it is going to be myself leading Piastri and Perez, the top 3, and then Leclerc and Norris are just a little bit further down. Norris, a shocking start from him. He was P2 off the start, and he's fallen all the way down to 5th. And this is going to give me a great opportunity to maybe catch up to him in the championship. You know, I was thinking maybe we'd be able to pull 7 points on him if we could actually, you know, just beat him and win the race. But at the moment, yeah, it's going to be a 15-point swing, which will close the gap to just 6 points. However, I don't know if I'm going to have things all my own way, because somebody requested that I showed tyre temperatures a bit more in these videos, and as you can see, just 5 laps in, I'm already starting to get these tyres into the orange range on the front. They are getting very, very hot. 103 degrees it peaked out on this lap by the looks of things. 104 even we got up to briefly there, and Piastri has also managed to catch up with us as well. So yeah, I don't think that this is going to be as straightforward as I thought it was going to be. You know, I'm running a wet setup here, so I really assume that the tyre overheating might not be such a big deal. But that's something that has really plagued me in this game. I just can't seem to keep the tyres cool when it's wet, no matter what. Fortunately, nobody can do that, and that's why I'm quite good against people in the wet in league races and that kind of thing. If you've watched my league racing series that we've been doing, then you'll of course know that I have been very strong in the wet against some of those guys who typically are a little bit faster than me. But the AI obviously aren't affected by tyre temperatures at all, and so Oscar Piastri undoubtedly at this stage of the race is faster than me. He went for a bit of a half-hearted move into turn 1 on this lap 11, but to no avail. I've decided to stay out, which at the time I thought was a good idea, but Piastri and Leclerc boxing made me think, oh, okay, maybe I should have boxed here. So yeah, we are going to be leading nonetheless, and about 20 seconds ahead of Oscar Piastri, but he will be on much fresher intermediate tyres. However, as we make our way onto lap 17, absolutely breezing our way through this race so far, nothing really happening. You can see that Perez is yet to go for any kind of move on me, and also Piastri and Leclerc, who did box on lap 11, have got themselves caught up behind Russell and Hauger, who didn't stop. And I actually seem to be pulling away from Russell and Hauger a little bit. Piastri's now got ahead of Hauger, but he's still got to clear Russell if he wants to have any chance. And this whole time, he's just getting further and further away from me, which is going to give me almost a pit stop's worth of gap over him, and I was thinking about boxing on this lap as well, which was the lap they recommended for the one stop. 107 degrees on the left front tyre at the moment, just to give you an idea of how much I was struggling. You basically have no grip when the tyres get up to these temperatures, so I was just sliding about all over the place. Perez and Doohan coming in for their first stops. They're going to be switching to another set of intermediate tyres, and the fact that I've stayed out now I think means I'm committed to waiting until the soft compound tyres are the viable option. So we will see when that will end up being. Hopefully it won't be too far away, but Piastri's now got ahead of Russell, so he's going to start closing me down, and we probably, I would say, judging by how much he closed me down on this lap, we probably have maximum 5 laps, I would say, before he catches us. 5 or 6 laps roughly. So if he hasn't caught us by sort of lap 24ish, I will be very, very surprised, because I really, really don't think I have much to fight with compared to Piastri. He's on much fresher tyres, and I'm just struggling like crazy. Here's my teammate, Kevin Magnussen, and unfortunately, he is out of the race. So hopefully that is the risk of me DNFing in this race out of the way, but obviously disappointing for Kevin. I think he was battling for some points there, and it would have been nice to see him score some. He was behind Lando Norris before that, so I think he was either in like 7th or 8th or something like that. But yeah, disappointing. Kevin Magnussen out of the Grand Prix, and we will be the sole scorer for Jaguar if we can get to the end of the race. One thing that is going to help me out a little bit is that Kevin Magnussen's DNF did bring out the virtual safety car, which is going to give me a little bit of a break for a second, allow me to cool the tyres slightly, and also, you know, obviously everyone has to travel at the same speed, so that's going to reduce the rate at which Piastri can catch up to me, at least for a little bit. However, the VSC, it resumed at a bit of a complicated point for me, and so I wasn't particularly quick to react, and I think Oscar Piastri managed to catch up to me by a pretty significant margin, about a second, just from that restart. So yeah, like I said, it bought me a little bit of time. I think that I am going to be running sort of another lap or two before Oscar Piastri manages to catch me, but we will see what we can do regarding that. I don't know whether the track is dry enough for us to think about boxing yet or not, but one thing is for certain, it's definitely getting to that point. You know, the rain has stopped, and actually that has neutralized the rate at which Piastri was catching me, at least a little bit. Not fully neutralized him, but he was catching me at about 2 or 3 seconds a lap before that, and now he is catching me at the rate of maybe a second or a second and a half a lap per lap. So we actually do have a few more laps to think about what we're doing here. But I was constantly keeping an eye on the weather, and at the end of lap 25 they told me that we were on the crossover point, so I decided, right, okay, most people at this stage are still going to box in this race, and so I think it is a smart decision to try and box for soft compound tyres, get the jump on everybody else, and hopefully maybe close them down a little bit before we start coming under pressure from them. I would wage to say that we probably are still going to be under threat before the race is over, but yeah, I don't know for certain. We will see whether we come under any more pressure from these cars behind or not. You know, I think both Piastri and Perez still have a chance to get at us, but hopefully we can warm these tyres up nice and quickly. You can see me sliding around, just to give you an idea of how cold the tyres are when you first come out of the pits. But by the time we got to the end of lap 27, I had fully warmed them up, and now the first drivers are coming into the pits. Piastri and Leclerc boxing for those medium compound tyres. Now this came as a little bit of a surprise to me. That made me ask myself the question, are these soft compound tyres actually going to last to the end, or have I made a bit of a blunder here? You know, I thought 10 laps to go, soft compound tyres should be absolutely fine, but well, both of those guys going onto the mediums really did give me a bit of a fright. So hopefully I haven't made the wrong decision here. I was keeping an eye on the tyre wear now more than the temperatures. You know, there's not much I can do about controlling the temperatures apart from just trying my best. But yeah, you can see that the tyre wear already up to 14%. I think these tyres started around 6%. So 8% gained in only 3 laps. That's actually not as high as I was expecting it to be. And I think that we should be absolutely fine to get these tyres to the end. I did think for a second that Perez was going to be staying out on the intermediates and trying to get to the end on them, but he proved me wrong and ended up pitting on lap 30, which I thought was a bit bizarre given how much earlier other people were coming in, and he also went onto a set of mediums, which was even more perplexing to me, because at this point we've only got 5 laps left. Surely the softs can do 5 laps, Sergio. I don't know. Piastri now is right behind us, and I am a little bit afraid that we might be coming under significant pressure from him. He's going to have DRS down that big long straight for the last 5 laps, which is going to make life very, very difficult for me. However, life might not be so hard after all, because this is Alex Albon, and on his way through the chicane he has absolutely stacked it into a barrier. And one thing that might not surprise you in the slightest is that crash brought out a full safety car, and what that is going to mean is that we're going to have 2 laps under the safety car and then 2 laps of running at the very end without DRS, and this might have just saved my bacon. This might have just bailed me out of potentially coming under pressure from Oscar Piastri and maybe even being overtaken by Oscar Piastri. I would have been happy, don't get me wrong, I would have been happy with a P2 because I still think that we had a very strong race, but given that we were leading basically this entire race so far, it would be disappointing to lose it on the last couple of laps. So now all we've got to do for these final 2 laps is just keep Oscar Piastri behind us. You know, we've got plenty of battery, basically a full battery to fight with. The tyres, they are a little bit worn, but we've managed to conserve them a tiny bit by running under that safety car for a couple of laps. But Oscar Piastri undoubtedly has probably had the stronger pace around here. I've just been an annoying mobile chicane directly in front of him, preventing him from overtaking me. So we will see whether he is able to overtake or not as we round the final few corners on lap 34 to start the final lap of the Hungarian Grand Prix, and we will see if Oscar Piastri is going to put any pressure on us towards the end here. It looks like actually Sergio Perez was thinking about sizing up a move down the inside there. I had to leave a little bit of space. He's dive-bombed Oscar Piastri at turn 1, and now all of a sudden, who I thought was going to be attacking me is actually down in 3rd. Oscar Piastri battling Sergio Perez over P2 and P3. It looks like Perez is going to be making his way into P2. So maybe it will be Sergio piling the pressure on me towards the end of this race. However, he is 7/10 of a second down on me, and with only a couple sectors left to go, he's going to have to get a wriggle on if he wants any chance of catching me. But I am struggling for grip quite a lot, and not only that, psychologically, I'm in my head about where the grip is on this track. You know, there's a lot more grip than I think there is, but because we've been running on a wet track for 30 laps, it's kind of confused me a little bit about where the braking points are and how hard I have to brake, that kind of thing. And so that has allowed Sergio Perez to get involved. He's going to go up the inside here, and we just narrowly managed to stay ahead of him. The outside line proving to be the superior line, and I think that might be the last pressure we come under in this race. We may just be getting away with that, but certainly I was struggling towards the end of this Grand Prix. We're going to round the final corner, and we are going to win the Hungarian Grand Prix, take our 4th win of the season, and I am extremely pleased with that. 25 points scored. We didn't get the fastest lap, but still an incredibly strong performance, and I think one that we should be very, very happy with, and maybe that will move us up in the championship.
It's victory in Budapest then, and what a victory it is after an incredible Grand Prix. So, Natalie, what made the difference out there today?
I feel consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Well, what a thrilling end to an incredible Grand Prix weekend. Our top 3 finishers should be incredibly happy with what they were able to achieve out there today.
Well, it is another victory for us, and it is a P2 for Sergio Perez and Oscar Piastri making his way onto the podium as well in P3. I think he'll be a little bit disappointed. I think he'll think that there was a chance for him to score a win there, and to only get 3rd will be a little bit disappointing for him. But, I mean, he's still probably in the championship fight, I would say, just due to a very strong, consistent season for him. No wins, but still a real contender.
So let's have a quick look at how the drivers' standings have changed. Robinson takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Let's focus on Driver of the Day, Natalie Pinkham. Come on, who do you pick?
I have to give it to Robinson.
It's time to check out the Constructors' standings. McLaren continue to increase their gap at the top. Been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
So, we take our 4th victory of the season, and in doing so, we take the lead of the Drivers' Championship, which is not what I was expecting. We stay P3 in the Constructors' Championship, which, yes, that is right where we need to be, but we have moved to just 2 points behind Mercedes off the back of that, which I suppose in no small part is due to the fact that that Mercedes actually failed to score here today. Lando Norris was outside the top 10 in the end. I think the strategy kind of screwed him over a little bit. And obviously Alex Albon, with that big crash, was perhaps a little bit unlucky to kind of find himself not scoring any points. But you know, he obviously that was under his own power that he dropped it, and you can't really blame anyone but him for that incident. Meanwhile, this is the shortest highlights package I think the game has ever produced for me. We're already done. So yeah, that is me kind of wrapping up my summary of the race already. You know, not really much went on though, to be frank, so I think it's fair enough that the highlights were quite short. I kind of just I led mostly from lights to flag, apart from for those couple laps. I think it was about 5 laps after I boxed that Sergio Perez was still ahead of me. But apart from that, you know, we basically had one of the more comfortable victories I think we're going to have this season. Nobody really put any pressure on us, and yeah, that is going to be pretty much everything that I have to say. I think the next race is going to be Belgium, so yeah, maybe a couple difficult races for me on the horizon. Maybe a little bit of damage limitation will be necessary there, but in any case, that is going to be it for this video. So if you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.